I think you've got this division in defense contracting between services, information technology, software, as you say, and then actual hardware, manufacturing defense platforms. And with Lockheed Martin's decision to divest itself of some of its services units and also purchase this hardware unit, it shows that defense contractors continue to prefer to actually just build defense platforms rather than to provide IT services and other things.
And then there are, of course, the lobbyists from the military side who want to have more spending, and then there are those who want to have more spending here domestically. All that put together, in 2016, what are we going to be arguing about when it comes to military spending?
Not a great deal. As you say, it's fairly steady state. You're looking at investment accounts that are about 110 billion in procurement of new weapon systems, plus about 70 billion in research and development of new weapon systems, plus another budget for sustainment of existing weapon systems. Not massively changing, not a lot of new program starts. The big issue for the year coming up is going to be long-range strike bomber, the new bomber to replace older models of B-52, B-1.
The B-2.
Yeah, ultimately the B-2 maybe. The B-2 will probably stay in service till 2060. So whatever replaces it, it might be this, it might be something beyond this. Either way, it's the biggest defense contract in many years.
There was one that's been pretty controversial. It's not the bomber, it's actually the fighter, the 35, right? This one, it's not just in the United States because you have buyers from all over the world that are buying it. These planes are, and we were talking about this earlier, but they used to cost 10 million, now they cost 200+ million per plane. Is it honestly worth spending $200 million per plane?
Well, first of all,
and I'm asking that because a lot of people would ask, that money could be spent obviously elsewhere.
Right. Whether or not combat aircraft are good value for money and whether or not that specific combat aircraft is good value for money are both two ongoing debates. You look at the recurring production costs, removing the development cost. The F-35 now costs about $100 million. We'll see if they can get that down. The objective is to get it down to 80 million or something along those lines, which is still a very expensive aircraft by historical standards. Are tactical combat aircraft worth it? Well, there's some rethinking on that. The Air Force is thinking maybe they should scale back their ambitious plans for purchasing 1,800 of these and instead shift some of the cash to strategic weaponry, long-range strike munitions, the new bomber, things like that.
What does the war or the weaponry of the next couple of decades look like to you? And I guess the question is, how does the drones and cruise missiles work together, or if they replace the traditional method?
The intriguing thing about drones right now is that from a combat perspective, they're configured for very tactical missions, basically getting rid of a car full of terrorists or something like that.
The level of innovation, and I think about what's happening in Ukraine, for example, it doesn't matter which side of the political aisle that you might be on. It's a sad state that we can't protect people from sort of the fighting, and that's always been a problem, is sort of the casualties of the civilians. And technology has never fully, even though the things have gotten more accurate, we've never fully been able to protect civilians. Can technology play a role in that in the future, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. The problem is that the more technology plays that role, the more you are inclined to use it. And the classic illustration of that being drones. Nothing minimizes collateral damage like a precision-guided strike. Unfortunately, this has led to this belief that we should deploy thousands of them and use them constantly, in which case, well, you're still going to have collateral damage, just less on a per-strike basis.
Yeah.
So the answer is very definitely because of greater situational awareness, greater targeting, greater precision, but ultimately it's going to be a problem as long as warfare is around.
What's the next leap for technology in terms of military fighting, whether it's for the U.S. or anyone else in the world for that matter?
Well, there's, of course, a lot of ideas, and people are divided. One of it, of course, is greater reliance upon networks, greater sharing and use of information. There's another school of thought that says that is vulnerable to disruption, and actually we should be approaching things with more of a lower-cost solution, basically using systems that are less complicated. And then, of course, you've got people who say it's all about range. How can we get lethality and precision at global distances without risking troops in the front line?